Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today I'm going to be reviewing Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World for the 3DS. Now, I know that this is an enhanced port of Yoshi's Woolly World for the Wii U, but the thing is, I only played like 2 levels of the Wii U version at the demo back when GameStop actually had Wii U demo stations. And if I didn't know that this was based on a Wii U title, I might have thought that this was a totally original 3DS game, because it just seems like it was custom built for the system, and that's how remakes should be, my friends. So, you might have noticed that so far on this channel, I haven't exactly given Yoshi a good representation after my disastrous review of Yoshi Topsy-Turvy for Game Boy Advance. But this game was better than that in every single way. For one, the art style was utterly phenomenal. Now, I wasn't a huge fan of Kirby's Epic Yarn. Now, admittedly, I never played it, but the concept didn't really sell me. You you can't die and everything is made out of string. But this game takes it a step further. It makes everything out of wool and cardboard felt, and overall it just works a lot better in the Yoshi universe, at least from what I've seen. Yoshi's tongue can be used to eat up enemies and bits of fabric and then turn them into yarn balls, which you can then aim either using the 3DS's tilt controls or the circle pad. Thankfully, the game gives you plenty of options to decide that, and then you can use them to either make new platforms, stun other enemies, and a whole variety of cool things. Also, Yoshi has a flutter jump that he can use to extend his jumps either vertically or horizontally, though sadly it's a lot less useful than it was in, say, Yoshi's Story, but still, it can make the hardest horizontally scrolling levels a breeze if you know how to properly use it. Also, if the game is too tough for you, you can switch at any time, even mid-level, between classic mode and mellow mode, with mellow mode giving Yoshi a pair of wings, and also the option to have Poochy Pups, which can give him unlimited yarn balls of, using the Poochy Pups instead of the yarn balls, which can make some of the boss fights a cakewalk. And the Poochy Pups also reveal secrets. Now, it's not a perfect system, because sometimes they'll bark at something that you think is a secret, but it's really just an enemy, or sometimes it'd be unclear exactly where to find something. Thankfully, only twice did I have to look online to find an unlockable. Most of them just require an extremely unheard of amount of deductive reasoning and spatial awareness that you don't really think about much in a Yoshi title. But suffice to say that if you're able to put the old gray matter to the test, Yoshi's Woolly World has a ton of collectibles to find, and it's one of those few games where it really encourages you to go out of your way to discover the secrets. Now, it's not like Mario where there's a lot of hidden entrances and exits, but a lot of times you do have to go out of your way and use outside-the-box methods to get the flowers, the Wonder Wools, the coloring stamps, and beat the level with all hearts. Now, they all have their benefit and downsides. The flowers can unlock new levels, which of course you'll want to do, because all of the levels in this game are phenomenal. And then the Wonder Wools can unlock new types of Yoshis that you can control. Their abilities are the same, but their designs are different. And especially after you beat the special levels, you can get Yoshis that are based on Nintendo's previous consoles, like a Wii U Deluxe version of Yoshi, which was my personal favorite. You can also use amiibos. Any amiibo that was released prior to this game's release, which was in 2015, will work to get a Yoshi that's themed after the amiibo, even if the names are kind of cheesy, like Dr. Mario Yoshi. It's a shame that Breath of the Wild amiibos weren't supported and the game didn't offer an update, because I think Breath of the Wild Yoshi sounds super cool, but if you scan a post-Yoshi's Woolly World amiibo, you still get amiibo Yoshi, so at least that's something. Also, apparently, the Poochy version of Yoshi also introduced Poochy Dash Mode, which are a handful of levels where you control Yoshi's dog Poochy, where he auto runs through a level and has to collect as many beads as he can and also rescue the Poochy pups scattered throughout the level. And basically, that's about it. You get 3 missions that'll basically give you more bragging rights, and you can also use Gold Rush to get even more beads than normal, and also slightly make the levels easier, but it really all depends on how much you like auto runner levels. I mean, sure, they can be a good way to get extra beads, but I found that the only other redeeming factor of these levels was the fact that they had Poochy in them, and they're just so adorable. Now, granted, this game does support Yarn Yoshi and Poochy amiibos, but seeing as I don't have any of them, I didn't get a chance to test them for this review. Now, beads can be used to buy badges. I'm not sure if you can use badges in both classic mode or mellow mode, but suffice to say that the badges have a variety of abilities that Yoshi can use, including the ability to ride Poochy through a level, which basically lets him go faster when riding on top of Poochy, jump higher when Poochy goes into a wall, and Poochy can also crawl under tiny spaces to grab objects for Yoshi. There's also badges like being able to jump off of lava or have everything magnetically attracted to Yoshi. The only problem I see with this system is the fact that you have to gradually unlock all the badges, and that's a bit of a bummer because the magnetic force badge was the one I used by far the most, and I think that would have been a huge help in some of the earlier levels where the collectibles were always dangling just barely out of my reach. So, you're probably wondering what the core gameplay is like. Well, it's remarkably similar to the new Super Mario Bros. And Donkey Kong Country releases, where it has a heavy emphasis on jumping, but at the same time, Yoshi's a lot slower, so you more have to think out, are you going to try to make this jump? Are you going to try to eat the enemy, or are you going to try to throw a yarn ball? There's a little bit of resource management in there, because if you're playing on classic mode, you don't have the unlimited Poochy pups. So you have to look for opportunities to constantly keep your stack of yarn balls in stock for any occasion. The level design in this game, if I haven't mentioned this before, is phenomenal. There are some ho-hum levels early on, but most of the designs are just out of this world. Especially the levels where Yoshi slides on curtains. Those are just extremely cinematic and fun, and remind me of some of the best levels in Donkey Kong Country Returns. Also, the stereoscopic 3D is for the most part magnificent. Granted, it takes the most advantage of the system's capabilities in a boss level, where the bosses seem to rotate between the foreground and the background a lot. The bosses themselves are actually kinda tough. They require a decent amount of strategy to figure out their weak points, although it is disappointing that all of them, with the exception of the very final battle, only take 3 hits, which seems to be a pattern for Nintendo. So, if the game's options didn't already overwhelm you, there's also a super easy mode. It's not officially what it's called, it's just what I'm calling it, where if you die too many times in a level, this floating egg appears, and once you touch the egg, then Yoshi becomes invincible. Which I guess is better than Nintendo's play the level for you. Although it still has that, there's a badge that you can buy called Clear the Course if you don't even feel like trying out the level. What? I get it though. It's a game for kids. And this is especially evident in the new Poochy and Yoshi's Woolly World edition of movies. Now, there are about, I think, 31 of them. I've only unlocked about 10 because I don't play this game as often as I should. And they're cute, short claymation animations between the Yoshis and Poochy. Now, granted, you can't use 3D during these moments, but other than that, they're really charming, and they usually ask a question at the end to test your memory skills and give you a chance to earn extra beads. And even if you fail that question, they usually have another. Most of the time, the questions are pretty simple, but some of them ask you to really pay attention, like how many times does Yoshi yawn in this still. Finally, the last thing that I'd like to talk about is the fact that Yoshi and Poochy's Woolly World has a lot of stuff to do on the side besides the main game. There are 6 worlds with about 9 levels in each of them. But then there's also, you can make arts and crafts in the craft tent. You can listen to music and view 3D models of enemies in the theater. There's, of course, a big nest that's just waiting to figure out what exactly is behind it. And just overall, the game has a really great sense of replay value. I would say that if people didn't know that this was a Yoshi game, they would easily see this as like the next new Super Mario Bros. 2 3D or something like that. Or another Donkey Kong game. Because the level design is just really that good. So if you can put up with the overwhelming cuteness, which might turn off a few people, I think you're going to find a real platforming gem here. And despite what the critics say about Poochy being underused, I just say you haven't watched enough of the Yoshi's Theater videos. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and until my next review, keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye.